Hey, Mike here with Eterra. Today we're going to go over the Raptor Boom Arm system, all the controls available for you to control it from inside of your cab, how to attach the mower head and the hoses to it, how to get set up and operate it from inside your cab, and even go over the valve tuning so you can get optimal performance out of your boom arm system. Let's get into it. So we're going to start here today with an overview of the different controller options for using your Raptor boom arm. Depending on your preferred setup, we have a few different options here on the table for you. For quick and easy setup, we've got the JCB 400 control box. It mounts easily into your cab with 4 magnets here, anywhere you can magnet into your cab. It's got one-handed operation with a 4-way joystick, 2 momentary switches on the top and the side, and 1 latching switch for the mower on the other side. It's a great option for wheel loaders and tool cats as well, to allow you one-handed operation while keeping your other hand on the wheel. The power is powered by either a cigarette plug lighter, or you can clip this off and hardwire this into your cab power if desired as well. The JCB 400 box is going to be available with either a long permanent length installation cable or a shorter temporary length installation cable. They both have 2 plugs on the end that made up to the 2 plugs for the JCB controller, with the permanent length cable meant to be mounted down the arm of your skid steer out to where the hydraulic connections are. Or for the temporary length cable, you can route this out the window or anywhere on your cab that is convenient for easy installation. Both of these cables come with a 14-pin connector on the end where the Raptor boom arm is going to plug into. They also have the plugs on the other end that work with not only the JCB 400 controller, but the Super controller as well. So if you decide to upgrade in the future, you can utilize the same cable over again. Up next, we have the Super controller. This is the best option for seamless operation of the Raptor boom arm in the cab of a skid steer. You've got 2 joysticks that plug into the controller and mount right next to the joysticks in your cab, allowing you really easy operation with your thumbs while you're driving the machine at the same time. The Super controller also comes with the option of a permanent or temporary length cable, depending on if you want to be able to move it between machines or not. Depending on your choice of installation cable, your accessory kit for a Super controller is going to come with different mounting options. Both of these joysticks are going to get mounted in your cab with the accessory kit that comes with your choice of length of cable. For the temporary kit, it's going to come with some ram mounts and ram mount clamps that make it very simple to attach these quickly and remove them easily for being able to switch it between machines. For the permanent installation kit, it's going to come with the same 1-inch ram mount clamps the joystick's attached to, but the clamp kit for the base is going to be a bolt-on kit that is a permanent installation. What that means is it's going to require a little more trimming around the joystick of your machine, but it's going to be a much cleaner installation overall and going to get the joystick as close as possible to the thumb for ease of operation. Now that we've gone over the controllers, let's go over to a Raptor boom arm, show you how to attach a mower head and how the controls operate. Before we get started with getting this running on the skid steer, we want to do a few safety checks first. One is on your attachment plate. When you get it hooked up, ensure your locking pins are fully engaged through the bottom of the mounting plate. The next thing we're going to want to do is out at the end of the boom arm, ensure that all 3 of the lines are capped before we begin. The last thing we're going to do is get our hydraulic connections and our electrical connector attached. We'll start with the 2 main connections. If you're working with something like a Kubota where you have high flow connectors that are separate, make sure you attach it to the high flow connectors. Lastly, for the electrical connector, we want to make sure we install it into the plug-in from the controller of your choice, either the JCB or the Super controller, and not your factory 14-pin. Now that everything is hooked up, let's go ahead and hop in the cab and get this thing moving. Now that we're in the cab and we got the machine going, let's go ahead and turn on our high flow setting on the machine. What we want to do is do this in the forward direction because the Raptor only operates in one direction. Once we turn on the high flow, give it a second to let fluid run through. You'll hear your pump maybe purge some fluid through and fill up the arm. Now we go ahead and shut off the high flow and we check for leaks. Once we're confident there's no leaks, we can come in, go ahead and get it started again. Now it's going to take a while to get the arm filled up with fluid as we go. So what we're going to do is, I'm using the JCB controller right now. I'm going to go ahead and operate one of the controls to get the joystick, to get the arm lifting up here. That's going to go ahead and fill up with oil as I hold down the control and extend it. Next, I'm going to, you can see the cylinder is a little loose because it's not full of oil yet. I'm going to operate that control to start getting that filled with oil as well. I'm going to operate this all the way in one direction and hold it, and then bring it all the way back the other direction and hold it. What this is going to do is fill it all the way up and purge out any air that might be in the system as you hold it down. Let's bring that back out. And now that we've got a little more movement, we can bring the main cylinder all the way up, purge the air out that direction. Next, let's go ahead and move the head rotation here. Same thing, we go all the way to one end, hold it, cut the other way, go all the way the other direction, and hold that down. Lastly, we're going to do the boom rotation. Let's go all the way to the left here. Hold that down for a few seconds. Push it the other way. See it smooth out as we're going there. And we're gonna hold that all the way down for a few seconds. Now that all the air is purged out of those, we still need to retract the main cylinder all the way. That is going to require us to give ourselves a little room here and lift up our skid steer plate. Now that we're up in the air a little bit, we can bring this down, double checking that you've got enough clearance. Looks like we're a little short. Let's give it a little more just to be safe. Go ahead and hold that down. Okay, if you're ever in doubt, it's never a bad idea to go ahead and go through that whole sequence all over again, just to be sure you've bled out all of the air. Go ahead and put this back down into a safe resting position. And we're all set and filled up with oil. The last thing we want to do after filling up the arm with the oil is go ahead and shut everything off. And now we're going to go ahead and check the hydraulic reservoir on our skid steer and get that topped up, because this thing takes a lot of oil. On the JCB 400 controller, we're going to go ahead and use the F button to lift the main boom up, and the E button to go down on the main cylinder closest to the cab here. Next up is C and D. These are going to be the second jib cylinder. C is going to bring it in towards you, and D is going to move it out away from you. G and H up here is a rocker switch. This is going to operate the head rotation of the mower. G is going to rotate the head back and curl the bottom of the mower towards you. H on the right side here is going to do the opposite and curl the bottom of the mower away from you. On the right side here we have N and M. This operates the rotation of the whole entire arm. The N button is going to move it to the right, and the M button is going to move it to the left. Lastly, on this side we have a latching switch. A doesn't operate anything on the Raptor for us. P is going to turn on the mowing head. So that's why this one latches and the other one don't, is because this is going to operate and lock on the mower. For the super controller today, we have a temporary installation just to kind of show you how it operates. We've got this box here that shows left and right which one joystick plugs into which side, and LED indicators that show you which direction each one operates. On the left joystick, I can go ahead and move it around here to each direction and make sure it all lights up. And if I switch over to the right joystick, same thing. And the center lights here are P, just like on the JCB 400 boxes, our indicator for if the mower is on. For the super controller though, on the joystick, what I'm going to do is press in and hold on this joystick for 6 seconds until it latches on there. That's going to turn the mower on. To turn the mower off, it's a quick short press in on the joystick to turn it off. On the joysticks, on the left side here, F and E, just like on the JCB 400 box, is going to be up and down on the main boom. C and D, just like on the JCB 400 box, are going to be that jib boom in and out. Over on the right joystick here, we've got G and H. This is going to be your head rotation, curling it in and out. And left and right is going to be M and N, and that's going to move the boom left and right completely. Pressing in again for 6 seconds will light up P, and that's going to turn the mower head on. Now that we've gone over the controls and gotten the arm filled up with oil, what we're going to do is get a mower attached. When you're attaching one of these mowers, you want to get it set up in a position similar to what you see here, where the arm is set off just off to the angle of the mower, so that when you rotate in, everything's lined up nice and straight. So let's hop in the cab and get it attached. Let's go ahead and get the machine started up. Just like before, get our hydraulics turned on, and go ahead and move it into position. Let's start by swinging slowly. Nudge that into place and bring this down. Now we can see we're a little off on the head. Let's rotate that back a little bit and slowly bump that in a little more. We want to get these, both the top and the right side, as parallel as possible. So now I'm up a little bit. Let's go ahead and put it down. Make sure we're pushing into it. And now we're all set. We can go ahead and shut this down. So now we've got our clamp and our bolts. Let's go ahead and grab our tools and we'll get started. Let's grab our clamp. Go ahead and line this up from underneath. Grab a bolt. We're gonna do these from the bottom up. Grab a washer and a nut. Now we can let that hang for a second while we grab the rest. And get each of these loosely attached. Grab our middle one. On the bottom side here, we've got 2 more bolts that go in from the top down instead of the bottom up. We're going to tighten these down in a particular pattern to make sure we get an even clamp force between the back and front of the clamp. You want to repeat this pattern multiple times as you go, instead of doing it all on here, all on here, all on here, and then on here. Because if you try to do it all at once and then you work your way around, this first one's going to be loose again. So you want to tighten these down incrementally from here, 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 and then the middle. Now we're going to get the mower connected and start by taking these caps off. Since there is a little bit of pressure sometimes built up in here, we like to have a drip tray underneath to catch any oil. So once we've loosened up the caps, we're going to go ahead and remove them slowly. If you feel or see any pressure or see any oil leaking out, go ahead and let that slowly drip out for a while until you've got all the pressure relieved off of here. If you hit one of the controls for the mower ahead of time before attaching the mower and getting this off, it can build up a little pressure inside. So go ahead and release that slowly with each cap. These are going to dribble a little bit regardless. Same thing on this one here. We're going to release that slowly. And the case drain here doesn't have that kind of same thing going on, but you can take the same precautions. We're gonna go ahead and attach this right hose. Sometimes you're gonna have to loosen up the connection up here just to let it rotate into the right position. You just wanna remember to go ahead and reattach that afterwards. We're gonna go ahead and tighten these first two hoses down before we get to the K-string, just because it can be a little tough to access this middle one after the K-string is attached. Go ahead and wipe down any oil you might have spilled off of these guys. Now we're gonna get the K-string attached up here. All right, now our next step is, after getting the mower head bolted onto the clamp, all the hoses attached, we're gonna go ahead and hop in the cab and get this thing ready to set up to tune. First thing for us means lifting this up and kicking our pallet out so we've got a free, safe working space. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on, pull this up, let my assistant grab the pallet away. And now we're gonna set this down flat on the ground here. We're ready to get it running, check it for leaks, and start tuning the valve. What this means is we need a clear working environment free of any obstructions or bystanders. On the ground, you're going to want to make sure it's clear of any loose debris that could get picked up by the mower and thrown. For us on the concrete here, we've done a clean sweep to make sure nothing can get chucked sideways through the shop. Now I'm going to go ahead and hop in the cab, get the mower started, and we'll check it for any leaks. We're going to turn on the hydraulics in the forward direction now and turn our mower switch to the on position at idle. You should hear the motor spin up, and now the blades are going to be spinning on the cyclone. Let's let this run for a little bit. You can up the throttle a little bit. Keep your eyes out for any leaks as you're doing this. And then go ahead, turn the mower off. Now after we turn the mower off, it's still gonna keep spinning for a while. And we wanna make sure it stops completely before we turn the machine off and hop out to check it out. Make sure you wait for at least 30 seconds after you shut the mower off at idle. If you're spinning at a higher RPM than idle, you're gonna want to wait even longer. Okay, now that we're done waiting, go ahead and turn the hydraulics off all the way. Go ahead and shut off the machine. And now we're gonna hop out and check for leaks. All right, now that we've checked the mower for leaks, we're good to go to the next step. If you do find any leaks, make sure to tighten them down with a wrench and go ahead and double check the machine just like we did before. Now we're ready to move on to valve tuning. What this means is we're gonna get the mower head spun up just like before, but now we're gonna crank it up at full RPM. Then we're gonna move the Raptor boom arm through all of its controls and see where we're having issues. And then we're gonna tune the valve appropriately to make sure that everything is functioning properly while the mower head is spinning at full RPM. Okay, we're gonna get our hydraulics turned on in the forward direction, just like before. The mower head spinning up, and go ahead and slowly crank the RPM up to full RPM. Now that we're at full operating RPM, we're going to go ahead and start by lifting the main boom up. As you can see already, I'm struggling to get the arm moving. Let's try another function. Alright, this is totally normal. And now what we're going to do is we're going to slow it down, turn our mower head off, and then go ahead and turn our hydraulics off. Now we're going to let that spin down and start tuning the valve. So, as you just saw while I tested this out, I wasn't getting anything really moving with the mower head running. So now we're going to open up the valve cover and start tuning the valve to fix that. Once we've taken the valve cover off, we need to get set up with our tools, which are a 12mm wrench, a 10mm wrench, and a 3mm Allen key. Set yourself up with a little drip tray underneath for any residual oil that drips out of these adjusters. We're going to start by adjusting the mower control, which is on the top right here. This is a little cap. We're going to remove this with our 12mm wrench. As you remove it, Pay attention to this little orange seal on top of the nut. Sometimes it will get stuck onto the bottom of this cap. If that happens, go ahead and slide that seal right back on top of the nut. Now we're going to grab our 3mm Allen key, stick this into the top of the adjuster, hold that in place while we grab our 12mm wrench and loosen this lock nut. Now that it's loosened up, we're ready to make our adjustment. As we saw when we tested the mower head, we don't have enough oil going to the cylinders in order to get them to move with the mower running. What that means is we need to restrict the flow to the mower head. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold this lock nut in place while we tighten up this adjuster. We're going to start with just a half a turn to the right, clockwise direction. This is going to restrict flow to the mower and leave more hydraulic oil left over in order to move the cylinders. Let's hold this in place, get this lock nut tightened back down, and replace the cap. Make sure to tighten this down all the way, because otherwise you will have oil leaking out of here while the mower is running. All right, now that we've made our initial valve adjustment, we're gonna go ahead and fire the mower up again and check for function of the arm with the mower head running. Now that we're full RPM, we're ready to check. Okay, it's struggling a little bit there. As you can see, we're still struggling to get some movement of the arm. So we're gonna go ahead and make that same adjustment again on the mower circuit and restrict it just a little bit more to get that movement. We're gonna go ahead and tighten it another half a turn. We're gonna keep doing this in half and even potentially quarter turn increments in order to slowly bring it to the point where the controls move. Now that we've got the mower head adjusted and we've got the arm moving while the mower is running at full speed, you may have noticed some of the controls are a little fast or a little slow for your liking. This is where the other valve adjustments come into play. What we were adjusting here is just for the mower circuit. The rest of these adjusters are for the individual controls. We've got adjusters on the top and the bottom of the valve. And we'll show you on screen here the diagram of which adjuster adjusts which control. That diagram is also available in your user manual in case you need it. What we're going to do is show you how to adjust one of these controls, and this will be the same adjustment you can apply to any one of those on the diagram. We're going to put our 3mm Allen wrench in place, grab our 10mm wrench, and loosen this lock nut. Go ahead and hold that lock nut in place, and in this case we want to speed up this control. So if we want to speed up the control, we're going to loosen it in order to allow more flow. You don't want to go more than half of a turn of adjustment on one of these because these are very sensitive. So we're going to move that by half a turn at maximum, lock that nut back down, and replace the cap. After you make this adjustment, just like before, you're going to turn the mower head on, turn it to full RPM, and operate that control that you just adjusted. See what you think. If it's too fast or too slow, make the appropriate adjustment of loosening or tightening. Tightening is going to reduce the flow and slow it down. Loosening is going to free up the flow and speed it up. Now, once you've adjusted all the individual controls to your liking, go ahead and put the valve cover back on, and we're ready to get mowing. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to give us a call or visit us on our website at eterra-usa.com.